Welcome to the Wellness in Asheville Podcast, where we shine a light on the people, practices, and places that make this city one of the most inspiring wellness communities in the country. I'm your host, Travis Richardson, founder of Be Well Asheville, your local news source for health, wellness, and community events. Cathy Cleary is a longtime Asheville changemaker in the food justice world. Through her work with Bountiful Cities, she's helped build community gardens, educational kitchens, and networks that nourish people and restore land. In this episode, we'll explore how food access, equity, and healing all intersect, and how growing your own food can be one of the most revolutionary things you do. Welcome to the show, Cathy.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Well, I'm excited to have you on, and we talked a lot before the show about how we have a lot in common. Myself, I've done a lot with gardening, and we can talk about that later, but I want to get right to you. We have a lot to talk about. So I'm curious, what drew you into food justice?
Well, I think early on in my journey, I realized that we don't all have access to the same food in our culture. And that was pretty disturbing to me because I feel like food is foundational and I want all people to be able to get what they need to nourish their brains and their bodies. And so started getting connected with organizations and individuals who were thinking about the same sorts of things and wanting to increase food access.
And then how long have you been working with Bountiful Cities?
Well, I started volunteering for Bountiful Cities a long time ago, probably about 15 years ago now. And I started out as a board member and volunteered on the board for a while. And then as I helped to get the feast program started, switched over to volunteering primarily for that program. And then started working for the organization about 5 years ago.
Nice. Yeah. And like you mentioned, I think you said most of the people that actually work in Bountiful Cities, like full time, were volunteers first.
Yeah. A lot of the folks that are involved have contributed. It's a passion for most of us.
So Bountiful Cities is, like, when I was doing my research, it's an amazing project, and there's a lot of facets to it. Could you go over what does it do for the city of Asheville and beyond?
Yeah, sure. So we do have a lot of programs. I mentioned Feast before, and that's our cooking and gardening education program in public school. Again, I mentioned food access, and Feast teaches children comprehensive cooking and gardening education. When they graduate from the Feast program in 5th grade, they know how to start seeds. They know how to care for plants in a garden. They know how to harvest. They know how to prepare fresh fruits and vegetables and make them taste good to themselves. We really focus on, like, what tastes good to you. And they even know how to save seeds at the end of the season when it's important for us to be thinking about what we're going to grow the next season. So we feel like this is an incredibly valuable skill, and we want children especially to have these kinds of skill sets as they think about what interests them in their lives and what path they might want to take, not just in terms of career paths, but just in terms of, like, making choices about their health. And so we just want a lot of folks are disconnected from food and agriculture these days, and we want children to especially children who might not otherwise have the opportunity to be exposed to this kind of education. We want them to have that access. And so that plays into food sovereignty because it's really all about choice. We want people to be able to choose based upon what they have been exposed to. And we want them to be able to choose things that they like to eat. And we want those things, those options to be more open, and have fruits and vegetables be part of those options, because so many people don't have access to fresh fruits and vegetables within their neighborhoods, and within their household. So we extend that throughout all of our programs. We have our adult programs that are through our community garden network. And I can say more about that if you would like. And the community garden network operates all over the city of Asheville and into Buncombe County. And we really try to give people tools, resources, education that they might need to learn about agriculture and to learn about cooking and to learn about how to create their own neighborhood food access. And these programs are supported by our Pearson Food Hub. And our Pearson Food Hub is this amazing oasis in the center of the city that grows out seedlings for all of our community gardens that we help to support, including our school gardens, and also grows food to support the Feast program, and other programming that we do where we offer fresh produce.
Wow, it's pretty comprehensive. Like the kinds of you're ranging from serving children in schools to providing community gardens for families. And how many community gardens have you built or do you maintain currently in and around Asheville?
Again, getting back to this word sovereignty, we help people start community gardens, but typically we are not managing those gardens. We, help with tools, we help with education, we help support. We, have ongoing support with seeds and seedlings and that sort of thing. But we really want people to be able to grow what they want to grow and make decisions about what they want in their community. So we do manage the school gardens in all of the schools that we work in the city of Asheville. But we, most of the community gardens are managed by the community.
Of course. Yeah. So with the school garden, I want to come back to the Feast program because as I was talking to you, I think that's really fascinating to me. And I think really how we're going to change the direction of this next generation to be healthier, happier human beings. Because gardening to me is, I think back like when I was creating my own community supported agriculture project back in Iowa, where I'm from. I was doing a lot of research and I remember reading about how gardens were, the ancestry of this gardening that we have in the US comes from Europe. And the idea in those days was that if you were wealthy enough, you could hide your garden in the backyard. And so I had this big idea, this movement toward let's try to place the garden in the front yard to create community and, and not look at gardening as this ugly thing that we should hide away. Instead, looking at it as this amazing, beautiful co-creation between human being and plants and what that can create. And so I guess tying that back to the feast program, where I feel like that is important for children to sort of get this interconnectedness that happens when you observe what you see when you plant the seed and you watch it grow and you see how it moves and everything around that. So do you have any stories of children that have been helped in some capacity, whether it's emotional improvement or physical health improvement through participation in the feast program?
Yeah, actually, we collect a lot of data, and we talk to a lot of parents and a lot of teachers and school psychologists, and of course, the children who are in our classes. And 100% of parents report that their children, their children's enjoyment of school is greater because of their participation in feast class. We have parents who report that they have children who might have sensitivities around particular foods, meaning that they don't like to eat very many things, and that feast increases their desire to try new foods and increases the amount of foods that they actually will consume. We actually had one parent tell us that her child had limited the number of foods that he would eat to five different things that he would eat. And one of them, I believe, was hot dogs. So by the end of the year, after going through feast class, this child was making his own smoothies at home and adding in fruits and vegetables that he had never eaten before. So those are the kinds of stories that we hear from parents. We had a school psychologist tell us that they noted that children who had trouble regulating themselves in class had better self-regulation after attending feast class and were able to be calmer and more focused. So we know that it affects children not just from a physical health perspective, but in a mental and emotional health perspective as well.
Yeah, I imagine so. Just being outside. I used to volunteer for an organic farm back in Iowa again, where I used to go there. And I just remember it was so fun to be on that farm and planting seeds together with others. And it feels like when you're out gardening, conversation just happens so naturally and so fluidly. And I can imagine these kids just laughing and enjoying themselves, and they're out doing some stuff and learning. And I feel like it's a very natural, it's easy way for even maybe children that might be a little more introverted to feel like they can get out and do something and be around others and express themselves in a different way. So tell me about the cooking aspect. I'm curious about how that works. That goes way above and beyond, because it's one thing to teach somebody how to grow food, but you also have at least 50% of the equation is knowing how to prepare it, right?
Yeah. So we work primarily with fresh fruits and vegetables when we're doing cooking classes. We work with the season. So kids learn about seasonal fruits and vegetables, what's coming in from the garden. We let them taste things when they're raw, and just harvested and just washed, so that they know what they taste like when they're raw. And then we also provide lots of opportunities for them to create a recipe in their own way. Kids are so creative, and, even in kindergarten, kids want to add their own spices, and they want to choose which herbs they want to put into things. And so we often have a lot of options for a recipe. And of course, there's always the opportunity to taste. And we find that kids who might have some what might be labeled as picky eating habit are a lot more likely to taste something in feast class. I had a parent tell me one time that they were mad at me because their child wanted to eat fennel all the time. And he was having a hard time finding fennel in the grocery store and didn't eat very many fruits and vegetables. So to latch on to something that has such a robust flavor was noteworthy.
That's great. Do you see changes ripple through the child's family as well?
That's a great question. Yes. As a matter of fact, we have had parents tell us that their children have started cooking for their families at home and preparing recipes that they've learned in feast class at home. We even have had a couple of small businesses that children have started as a result of feast class. We had one student who learned how to make French fries, which is basically French fries, but they're baked with potatoes that were grown in the feast garden, and then started a little small neighborhood business where he was making French fries and selling them to neighbors. So yeah, definitely making some impacts at home.
Oh my gosh, I absolutely love that. That is so great. Anybody making salsa?
Yes, we make salsa in feast class all the time because you're right. It's a great recipe for kids to be able to add their own ingredients in and decide what tastes good to them using fresh herbs and maybe peppers, maybe not, that kind of thing.
Any data that you collect that's surprising to you or that you didn't expect to see?
I think it can be surprising when 100% of people say that something is working for them, because a lot of times when we hear data, it's like 98% of people say that this is working for them, but to hear parents and teachers say 100% this is having a positive impact on children feels really affirming.
When you think about the kinds of problems that the feast program solves that are societal, we have a lot of things that plague our culture. What do you feel the feast program solves for societally?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good question. I think that one of the things I think about a lot is how much knowledge we lose over the generations when we are disconnected from land and when we are disconnected from being outside and disconnected from where our food comes from. You hear a lot of stories about people visiting a grandparent on a farm when they were younger. You don't really hear that many stories these days about people growing up on a farm. At this point, only 10% of our population of farmers is under the age of 35, meaning that our farming population is rapidly aging. And as a result, young people are growing up without any exposure to food and farming and agriculture. And they can grow up having no idea that a carrot grows underground. Most people wouldn't know that unless you see it. So it feels like we are not only solving for, our health and our bodies and our brain, emotional regulation, but also this sort of more systemic and societal problem of like, oh my gosh, who's going to be growing the food? because we are bridging that generational knowledge gap.
And we don't want transnational corporations growing the vast majority of all of our food. We prefer smaller local farmers because they know and care about the land and the people. Me being from Iowa, it's obviously a strong farming community. 90% of our land is corn pretty much. And so, we watch how things change as, like you said, the farmers either, maybe selling their land and they get bought up. And then of course, there's just much less respect for the land and the community by large organizations that just trying to turn a profit. The other thing I worry about, and I don't know what the statistics are on this, and maybe you do, is the last thing I remember reading about, like subsidies that the government gives, for organic versus not organic. If I remember right, it was like 1% or something like that of all subsidies goes to organic farmers. Do you have any data or understanding on how that trend is trending in the positive or negative direction?
Yeah, another arm of our work that I haven't really touched on is food policy. And Bountiful Cities was instrumental in starting the Asheville Buncombe Food Policy Council. And it is so important for us to be supporting public policies that support sustainable agriculture. I won't use the word organic just because organic has been so commodified in our culture. And it's actually quite expensive to get organic certification. And what happens is only huge farms with big bank accounts can actually afford to get organic certification in many cases. So sustainable agriculture is another term. Just a lot of times that means small family diversified farms. And so, as we're thinking about ways that we can support this movement, there are a lot of different angles we can come at it. And, advocacy and good food policies where public dollars are supporting sustainable agricultural efforts is one of the ways.
So I was in the store the other day and I was looking at eggs, as we all might. And I'm like, oh my gosh, there's a wide variety of egg choices, and which is great. Like I remember, some number of years ago, there's like a couple kinds of eggs you could get. Okay, so now there's regular eggs, and then you've got cage-free, and you've got pasture raised, you've got USDA organic certified, probably some other things. When I was looking at the eggs and egg prices, I saw that there were like USDA certified something or another, and they were like $11 or $12 for a dozen. I was like, oh my gosh, this is like, okay, this might be the best of the best brand of eggs I can get. Most expensive. I'm like, I can't afford that. So then I saw that there were this other brand of pasture raised eggs, which not there to see the chickens running around, but I'm like, okay, that's kind of what I think is the gold standard for eggs, is that they're able to actually roam. And but it wasn't USDA organic certified. And I bought those because I felt like it was, like you said, I'm like, lots of farmers that I know personally, when I ask them about it, how do you raise your animals, your vegetables, whatever it might be, and we have the organic conversation, they're like, oh, we way exceed what is required for the organic certification. It's just too expensive for us to go get it. We don't want to get it. How does a consumer know? I mean, maybe we're getting into the weeds here, but I feel like as a consumer, this is what's on people's minds because it costs a lot of money for doing some of these things. Is there a way to identify like good quality, but is still affordable?
Yes, I think that's a good way to go. I think, again, we talked about the commodification of things. So I think that as a culture, we want to slap a label on a lot of things and think that we're being good consumers when we buy what's trendy. I will say, there are lots of books and lots of articles and lots of resources out there about like making good food purchases, like good choices, depending on, whether you're supporting sustainable agriculture or whether you're supporting health. The best choice is to purchase it from a local farmer. The more local, the better. Next door or in your own yard is the very best. Because then you know where these things are coming from. You can see the chicken and if they look healthy and clean, and if the chickens are healthy and clean, then the eggs are probably going to be good too. And there are a lot of barriers to, I don't want to ignore the fact that there's a lot of barriers to growing your own and to purchasing from a local farm. It might be more expensive and not everybody can afford that. So, we really want to meet people where they are. And even if all you have is a bucket to grow something in, you can grow some fresh herbs in your bucket of soil. And that has an impact. It really does. So yeah, just bringing it back to local, and local is more sustainable because we're not shipping it across the country.
Perfect answer. I will put some resources in the show notes and maybe you and I can talk offline, but I can put into the show notes some resources for folks to go off and find some good local sources for what we're talking about here. Okay, well, let's kind of move on here. I've got a few other questions for you on sort of where you see the Feast program growing. Like, what's your vision for it? Where do you want to see it grow? How do you want to see it expand? What excites you?
Oh, that's a great question for us right in this moment, because right now we are developing in collaboration with Asheville City Schools and the Asheville City Schools Foundation and United Way and Children First. A lot of different organizations are involved in our effort to make Feast programming available in middle and high school as well. Right now, we're not even yet in all of the elementary schools in Asheville. So we would like to expand in that direction too. But there's so much opportunity for mentorship and for taking this program to the next level in terms of workforce development and connecting to the CTE programs at the high school, which is the culinary education, and Future Farmers of America, or FFA, which is a program also at the high school. And there's a lot of opportunity for students that went through Feast, because we've been around since 2009 as a program, to go back to their elementary schools and mentor younger students in the gardens and in the kitchen. So we're working on that right now. I'm super excited to see how that moves forward. At the very least, we'll be working at Asheville Middle School this year with after school students through the In Real Life program, and hoping to do some mentorship through that program.
Wow, that's so cool. I'm totally rooting for Feast and for you and for everything that's going on. What do you need most right now from the community in terms of support?
That's a great question too. Speaking of the Feast program, part of the reason that we're not in all of the elementary schools is because it costs a lot for Bountiful Cities to run this program. The school district is also underfunded and so is not able to financially support through their budget the Feast program. We do collaboratively write grants, and they write our program into grants that they're applying for. But this is an undervalued type of education. And as you say, it feels really important to have it be available to more and more students. So helping out financially is a big part of what we need. If that's not possible, then volunteering with the program. We have amazing school gardens that we are responsible for and that we do all the upkeep for throughout the school year, but then also throughout the summer when we have a lot less volunteers because a lot of our school garden volunteers are parents and they're not as available in the summertime, or they might be away. And that is when the bulk of the work has to happen in the garden. So that is an incredibly valuable way that people can support us, is by volunteering. Yeah. And then, of course, there's always behind the scenes work that is being done. And, we're looking for people who can help us, maybe thinking about leadership, maybe on our board of directors, or maybe thinking about administrative supports or doing social media posts for us, that kind of thing.
Excellent. Sounds like you have a variety of skill sets that you could use to bring to bear. So that's great. So in a very short answer form, I've got 3 questions for you. So what is one food that you think everyone should try to grow?
Oh, that's a great question. I'm going to say greens, because they're pretty simple to grow and they're very versatile. Any kind of green. Lettuce, kale, arugula, collard, all of it.
Wonderful. I love greens. What's your favorite Asheville community space?
Right now, it's our Pearson Food Hub and community garden. It's just beautiful there.
One food memory that has shaped you.
Yeah, I have a really beautiful food memory of sitting on my mom's lap when I could still do that. And I was probably about 5 years old, and she was letting me have tastes of things off of her plate. And she had this big, beautiful salad on her plate. And I remember taking a bite of that. And my dad was the primary cook in our family. And I remember loving it. And I don't know that I had eaten salad before, but there was something about this salad. My dad made his own salad dressing, and it was always really rich and garlicky. And I remember just thinking, oh my gosh, this is so good. I want more of that. And I have loved to eat salad my whole life, probably because of that. And find that kids, if they put the right thing on their salad, meaning whatever dressing tastes good to them, they love it too.
Well, Cathy, it's been really my pleasure to talk to you today. It's been really awesome. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate the time that you've given me. And to support food justice work in Asheville or get involved in a garden project, please visit bountifulcities.org, or you can find them on social media. Cathy's work reminds us that food is more than fuel. It's a path to connection, culture, and healing. Thanks once again, Cathy.
Thank you, Travis. This has been fun. Bye.
Thank you for listening. To learn more about Be Well Asheville, visit bewellavl.com. And don't forget to follow this podcast. You can catch the next episode and bring us along waiting for brunch at Sunny Point Cafe, walking your dog around Beaver Lake, or relaxing in Pack Square. If you loved what you heard, please rate and review the show. Your review helps others discover and grow our wellness community. You can check out Asheville Wellness news, events, and our newsletter at bewellavl.com. Thank you for being the best part of our wellness community. And until next time, be well.